Hello and welcome. Objective of this video is to make your AWS Root account more and more safe, secure from the security perspective using IAM. IAM is Identity and Access Management. As soon as you set up your AWS Root account, you should follow these instructions to make it more safer and less vulnerable to the security. Let's see it in the AWS Management Console. So firstly, you should be logged in using the root account and go to the services IAM. Locate the service IAM from security, identity and compliance, or alternatively type it in the search box. Go to the IAM. Once you land in a dashboard of IAM, you will see these 5 of the warning showing as a security status, which says that this account is less secure than it is supposed to be. It is not still up to the mark on the best practices of AWS. So let's start with the first thing. This is asking us to delete the root access key. Ideally, with the best practices, we should not use the root account for any of the purposes, either for the programmatic access or management console access. So let's go to the manage security credential. Let's locate the access key, which is the third one in the group. See if any of the key that you have created, which is still existing as a status active. Delete them, and now come back clicking on the dashboard, and you will see this is one of the constraint which is fulfilled, and it is little bit towards more strengthening the security of this root account. You can see the progress over here. So out of 5 items, we have made 1 item security strengthened, and that is the root access key. Let's go to the next one. We should activate MFA on our root account. That means anytime we need to access the root account, we should use with the multi-factor authentication. Multi-factor authentication is a virtual RSA kind of token-based authentication which works alongside of your user ID and password credentials. So once you give a user ID and password credential to your AWS root account, it also asks you to give the 6-digit token which is displayed in the Google Authenticator or any authenticator app which supports the MFA. So let's set up and see how it works. Click on the activate MFA on your root account. Click on the manage MFA. Locate the multi-factor authentication, which is the second one in here. Say activate MFA and click on the virtual MFA device and say continue. We'll see the QR code displayed once you click on your show QR code. You should have your mobile in your hand, and you should also have your device having the application like a Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator, according to your platform, what kind of mobile you're using, what kind of operating system is running in your mobile. So either it is Android or iPhone or Windows Phone, you should download the Google Authenticator for Android and iPhone. You can go to your Play Store of your mobile and download the application. Once you have downloaded, you can open it, and you should scan the code coming back to the main screen of the root account. So click on the plus button if you're using the Google Authenticator, and point your camera to this QR code, and you will see this 6-digit pin is getting displayed. So you can copy one of the pin. So I'm just going to keep my pin over here from the mobile where I have set the MFA, and I'll wait for this MFA current token to be expired in my mobile, which is ideally expires within 30 seconds. So it just expired now, and then I'll copy the successive token here and click on assign MFA. So once I do it, my MFA shows successfully assigned, right? And next time onward, when I come try to use my root account, it is going to also validate my 6-digit pin from mobile. So coming back to the dashboard, we'll test this once we are done with all 5. So the second parameter is fulfilled. We can see the progress very much here. Go to the third one and see what it is asking for. So it is asking to set up individual IAM user, as I have created the account, but I have not created any of the parallel users who can access this account, right? So as an organization, when I create AWS account, I'm going to also have plenty of users who require to use this account. So I should create a couple of users. So how I'm going to do is I'm going to just create 2 types of user and demonstrate. One will be the programmatic access user and other will be the AWS Management Console access user. The slight difference between these two is Management Console access can exactly access what I am accessing here, the GUI basically, with the service number of services that I defined as his policies basically. But he will not be able to access the AWS services using the CLI or SDK. For that, if any user require the programmatic access, they should get the programmatic access here, and for them they should get the access key ID and secret access key to access the APIs of AWS over the CLI, SDK or any other development tool supported by AWS. So right now I'm going to use create a user called Tom who has the programmatic access. He's my Python developer and he is going to use this account all the time as a CLI developer or SDK developer. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to assign some policy to him. So I have multiple options to do it. So what I'm going to do is quickly I can attach the policy from the existing managed policy and give the access. So he is a guy who requires the Lambda function. Most of the time he creates the Lambda function. He's going to execute the Lambda function. So I'm going to give AWS Lambda execute function access and move on. Skip this and click on create user. So the user Tom can log in from the CLI or SDK and he can access Lambda function execution whenever he wants. Rest of the other services he will not be able to use. So let's go back and see if we are on track for dashboard. Yes, so we progressed to the third one, and the fourth one is to assign a group permission. So we have created a user, but we have not used the group. We had the option to create the group and assign. So how it works, basically I have created a user called Tom, which is onboarded and he is the part of organization today. Tomorrow maybe I'll have 5 more guys who is joining the development team and who will need the access as similar to developer Tom. So I should, rather creating the user and assigning the policy directly to the user, I can attach the policy to group and add these users, all these users to the group. This will help me also to manage the user permissions very easily. If any other day any of the resources, leaves the organization, I can completely remove that user from the group, but still the same policy keeps on working for rest of the other users. So let's see how it works. Let's go to the groups first and create the group called dev group and attach the same lambda execution function, a lambda execute function execute role, and create a group. Once the group is created, I can go to this group and add the user Tom as of now to this group. Doesn't matter how many users I have, if they belong to this group, I can add those users to this group. Now if I want, I can remove this policy and Tom user will be still able to use the lambda execute. He'll be able to use the lambda functions using the lambda service of the AWS and execute it regardless of he does not have the permission. He has the permission from the dev right now. So let's go back to the groups and see dev, user and Tom. The day Tom is leaving the organization, I can say remove users, choose his user ID, username, and then say remove users, and he will be detached and completely removed from the groups, and he will not be any longer be part of the AWS account users. So he does not have any of the permission and he will not be able to access the AWS APIs after that, right? So the groups will still be existing, and if any other time a new user comes as a Shalini and we have to give a similar access, we can just choose the group here instead of going to the attach existing policies from the AWS managed policy or by creating a custom policies. Instead of that, we should use the group and manage our user from the group. And you will see that the user Shalini will have the same access as what the group offers, right? So Tom exists without any group. Shalini exists with the group dev. So let's go to Shalini and see what permissions she has. This permission is AWS Lambda execute, which is coming from the managed policy from group, but the group name is dev, right? So this is how effectively the group can help you. Instead of individually assigning the policies to the each user, we can directly assign the policies, attach the policies to the group, and number of users can be part of this group. Now question arises, even in a dev group, you may have a different user require some elevated permissions or some of the exception in using some of the services. So for that, you should use the add inline policy for a specific user and then elevate the permission, or you can create one more group and make that user part of that group so that he can or she can additionally access that specific permissions or some resources. So now we have fulfilled 4 of the items out of 5. The last one is IAM password policies. So let's go to the manage password policy and set up the rules for policies of the password. So here it says number of character that you can enforce for password length. So we are going to say 8 characters must be there in the password length, and it can be combination of alphabets, which is caps, or alphabets, which is smaller alphabet, which is at least one lowercase and one uppercase minimum requirement of the password satisfaction condition satisfaction is required. We are also going to enforce a single digit at least should be mention in the password, so that it makes more complex password. We'll enforce also to use the non-alphanumeric character from the given array. These are the group that group of character that can be allowed. We can enforce how many number of days we want to keep the same password, and after that it should be enforced to change the password, right? And rest of the things we can leave it and say save changes. And once we come back, our dashboard will say all of these five different sections meet the requirement, and now this is more safe and secure. Your root account cannot be accessed with only user ID and password. You also require the MFA token to uh, access the account. Rest of the things we have strengthened towards the user group and setting the alternative user, also put strengthening more security policies and password policies. So let's go back to the root account and see how we can access. If we try to log in, so once we try to log in after MFA enforced, and we give the user ID and password, we also require to punch the 6-digit code which is showing in our mobile, showing in my mobile right now, and this should be exactly what it is displaying. And once this is satisfied, then AWS is going to allow the root access, otherwise it is not going to let me in. So that's all I have in this particular segment. Thanks a lot.